Then and now, we got the crown when we rock the town. Hot sound, keep us breaking ground while we chillin' lounge. 3 generations, black nerd soldiers, podcast snipers trying to pop culture. Allegedly, haters try to talk, but a pedigree in rare form.
Hello, everybody.
You're listening to the Then and Now podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Then and Now podcast. I'm your co-host, Captain Diesel, and I'm joined with the usual co-host, my boy, Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy, and my boy, Lelouch V, a.k.a. the Big Blerd Muffin, a.k.a. the Kratos of gaming. How are y'all doing, my brethren?
Better when we eventually let these go.
It's never going. And I'm telling you, it's not going anywhere.
Permanent. Government
When
name.
I'm in the grave is when it's going somewhere. And even then, it may not go anywhere then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. A tombstone.
It can be arranged, that's all I'm saying.
I'm making sure it gets put on your tombstone.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the big
already
Blerd
called
Muffin
him.
is get put on your tombstone.
You
have to make sure you live the longest to make sure that happens.
I know some people. I'll make sure. I'll get my youngins out there.
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Shit,
Not for me.
Drink my water and stay out the way. Y'all, this is gonna be a interesting episode and kind of a sad one as well, because I hate to have this conversation, because it should be one that shouldn't be had. It should be one that is more so a happy one. But we are here to kind of discuss the situation with Mr. Robert Jefferson, Comics Explained. For people who are not aware of who Rob is, which is probably hard to imagine, Rob is he is Mr. Comic Book YouTube, 2.5 million subs at this point, and usually who a lot of people go to be caught up with, or to, watch videos on so they can act like they've been reading comics for a very long time now. Rob recently, like a few weeks ago, was called out by a random person on Twitter by the name of Cosmo, I believe, in which this person called him a raccoon straight up because he was not covering or promoting any Black characters or stories during Black History Month, and most really focused on the idea of the fact that he doesn't really talk about any Milestone characters or Milestone as a whole for the most part. Rob then, laughs at that and posts a tweet kind of just laughing at it. And then, as you would expect, most of his 2.5 million followers were defending that because, most of them are white men. But after a while, you started to see an interesting thing happen. You started to see a lot of Black creators, a lot of Black people kind of like look into that and look into the fact that he hasn't really posted any Black characters or stories outside of ones that are either directly tied to a big Marvel event, where these Black characters are subplots or like side characters in a big white story, or he's putting out videos around things that are only coinciding with a major drop. So if it's a show or movie, he's putting something around it to take advantage of the algorithm. He's never really covering anything indie or anything Black centered for the most part as a whole. He could have ignored that and things could have just blown over, but he then decides to really, big thing here that people noticed. He was following and has followed for a long time now, Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker, which you guys aren't familiar with them. Just know they're white supremacists and known Nazis on the internet and have said wild shit around Black people and Black-led shows. So they're far on that side of things. So people saw that and they're like, Rob, what's going on, bro? You following the white supremacists? What's going on with that? He then posted this video, 10-minute video, saying 3 stupid fucking things and giving 3 strikes that really made me just kind of hop off the ship as a whole completely. First, in addressing Milestone, Rob says that, one, he has never resonated with any stories that Milestone Media has put out, which is, reasonable. I can take that. I'm okay with you personally not resonating with these stories, but then gives them the demeaning title of just saying they're essentially FUBU for comics. Which off top pissed me off because he says it in a way to demean them and also saying it in a way to be very dismissive for people who are not aware of what FUBU is. FUBU was a very popular Black-owned clothing brand for us, by us, that was really popular in like late 90s, early 2000s, but is kind of falling into irrelevancy as of, I don't even know when, like maybe even before the 2010s for the most part, in my mind. Like them and Echo kind of bounced out pretty quick. So that was already strike 1 for me. Strike 2, Rob gets into this whole conversation around Black comics as a whole and says that he will not be a mouthpiece for Black politics and equates Black created comics and Black comics as a whole to being Black politics, which again pisses me off because, brother, you cover X-Men stories. You literally covered a whole story around Captain America becoming a Nazi, which is inherently political. So you have no issue covering stories that are involving white characters that are inherently political, but, go off. And lastly, when finally addressing the thing that a lot of people had an issue with when it comes to him following white supremacists, he then does this word salad thing and misdirecting people and not really addressing the point until the very end, where he essentially says that, my dad told me growing up that in order to be able to stop the enemy, you have to know the enemy, and says that he follows them because they may at some point have good points. Did not know, white supremacists and Nazis would have good points, but, again, go off. And him giving those three idiotic takes, most of the Black nerd side of his audience, as well as a lot of creators that really supported him for a long time, are pretty much off him, as am I. And we'll get into a lot of the reasoning why. And most of it for me is the Milestone side of things, especially as of late, where I've been reading a lot of Milestone Media comics and I've been doing a lot more research as to how involved people like Dwayne McDuffie, Michael Davis, Mr. Dingle, I'm blanking on his first name, Christopher Priest to an extent, all these infamous people that were a part of this, like Joseph Illidge, seeing their legacy in comics and media as a whole, and seeing you demean what they created down to FUBU, it pissed me off the more you know about it. But before I go on a diatribe about it, just gotta set the table. What are your initial thoughts, guys, on this whole situation?
Yeah, personally, I just go ahead, you first.
No, I'll say was this one thing expanding on, because he did make a couple of videos trying to address the controversy, and they weren't really great videos. One was in his car,
even deeper, honestly.
Yeah, it made it only worse. But one of the things he said, as far as what his the idea with his dad told him he was younger to always try to understand both sides of the story, more or less, as far as like the whole idea of know your enemy when you get into a fight with them. Basically, what he actually said was pretty much like, oh, I follow them so I can listen to what they have to say and understand them better and everything else, so that I can have a conversation with them. The thing about it is, he has never tried to have a conversation with them about anything. There are plenty of examples of people who do genuinely want to cross the line to actually try to make some kind of peace, try to understand things, that put effort into doing that. And with his, he has 2.5 million subs, something like that, something crazy. He definitely could reach out and talk to them. He could have conversations or discourse with different people about different types of things. He definitely has a platform to do that. And he is clearly going out of his way not to ever do that. And I get that he may be shy. He may be that's not his bag. More power to you. I've listened to him for years myself and never even knew he was Black until recently. So that's fine. I never saw his face. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me.
His profile picture is him as a white man.
Yeah, it's another whole thing altogether. But it's like, whatever, you do you, my friend. You do you. But it seems very much like he doesn't understand what the ramifications of what he's saying actually are. Like you said, as far as him talking down on Milestone and McDuffie and Christopher Priest. I mean, for those who don't know, Christopher Priest also literally wrote for Marvel and DC when they were in the 80s and stuff like that, really helping them get going as far as actually kind of being a real centerpiece for them. Of course, McDuffie as well, and Milestone's of course a huge thing. So it's kind of like to not give credit to those, give them their flowers is a bizarre thing to do. I'm confused about that, honestly. So from where I sit, obviously I don't know this guy personally. I don't know his motives for anything that he's saying, but it does seem odd for him to go out of his way not just to support or shut up about what black creatives are trying to do in this this arena. But that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, I initially thought it was sus because he pretty much opened up with saying that he won't be a mouthpiece for Black politics. It was like, well, nobody was asking you to be. So the fact that you felt the need to inject that so prominently is very questionable. Also, I mean, you could have just let this go. You could have not spoken on this. You chose to make this a hill to die on, which brought more attention to this. So you must be feeling a deeper thing about this to actually respond to it, because you could have not responded to it. You've built a platform so big, you've had to see positive and negative comments come your way millions of times at this point. But you choose this particular thing in this particular climate to speak on. it's very telling to like where your alignments are shown, and like on top of the fact that you follow these two like white supremacists, like you don't follow like a tenth of your own following. Like the people that have created you, support you, built you up to being where you are, you don't follow a portion of them, but these two particular ones choose to like maintain that follow up of. And you said like on the off chance that they may say something important, that's a bigger implication too, saying like you've already heard them say something that you think is valuable, that like what, they've changed your mind already. And honestly, that goes into a bigger problem itself. So I mean, do what you got to do. I mean, I hate to see the black community kind of targeting against one of our own, but when you've already shown that you are in a way antagonistic to us, saying that you don't want to be a mouthpiece of black politics, like just openly saying that, like choosing to say that in the first place is just like, who is ever like, who, even for the activists out there on social media, I'm a mouthpiece for black politics. Like, who has ever said those words before? Like,
keep in mind that was in response to niggas just asking him to cover black books. He said, "Hey, bro, you should be covering black created books or black or stories centering black people. I will be a mouthpiece for black politics."
But I don't see it as politics. They to cover a book of the black character, black whatever black character. It's like that's not politics. That's just covering a black comic. Why not?
I mean, there's the conversation inherently where I think all media is inherently political in one way or another, whether it be through the story itself or through the background of the production of it. But for the factor that he sees black stories as being political, but not the stories directly involving politics that he's covered, is kind of crazy to me. So again, to that, I say,
some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
The Milestone stuff in particular pisses me off even more when you're looking at, and this is just to kind of let people understand a little bit of who Milestone is as a collective and the people that work with them. They are a company who is very much so very far beyond their time, where I feel like if they would have debuted today, they'd have been a lot more popular today than they were back then, because they were the type of company where they were the ones to implement the first Palestinian character and significant hero, the first trans character and significant hero. They were office that involved people of all different backgrounds, whether it be Puerto Rican, black, white, whatever it may be. They involved the people in writing stories. Fun fact, the character, so they had a story based around their character, Deathwish, I believe, where this story was written by the guy that voiced Meowth from the Pokemon series, live action series. It was written by him, and he is a trans man. So the fact they had a trans writer write a story that involves like trans characters within them, I'm like, they made it a point to make sure everybody was seen in every form or fashion. So the fact you don't resonate with any of these stories, you being a black man that's grown up in the fucking 80s and the 90s, find it very interesting, but say no more. When you're looking at the things they were involved in and how you don't see anything that those people have made as anything more than FUBU. When you look at Dwayne McDuffie and himself and looking at all the different things that he's been a part of, whether it be through DC directly or other projects that he's either written or produced, that I feel for a fact this nigga loves, like the Justice League, the animated series show, which I'm just going on the list here of just things that Dwayne McDuffie was a writer on, right? He wrote 18 episodes of Young Justice. He wrote episodes for Ben 10 Omniverse, Justice League Doom, the movie that everybody fucking loves about Batman having contingencies for every member of the Justice League. He was a writer for that. Ben 10 Ultimate Alien 8 episodes, All-Star Superman, plethora of fucking Ben 10. He was pretty much the Ben 10 nigga. That nigga he made Ben 10.
Ben 10 is underrated. I'll leave it at that.
Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, Justice League Heroes, Justice League Unlimited, 21 episodes, as well as the Justice League show itself. Static Shock, a show that he wrote 52 episodes of and had to fight to get made as a whole. 2 episodes of Teen Titans, What's New Scooby-Doo, for episode, in my opinion, the best version of Scooby-Doo, but that's just me though. And Supermodels, which is a TV series that he did 5 episodes of. These are all just a shit ton of things that he directly wrote, and that's not even accounting for things that he produced and helped, was influential in making. When you're looking at the writers that he touched, people that are fan of X-Men stuff, that are in love with Gail Simone X-Men stuff, probably at this point, outside of Chris Claremont, one of the most influential writers of X-Men, a white woman who's talked about in a Threads post today how much Dwayne McDuffie did for her in helping her pitch her shows and how much he mentored her. So again, a person who was very much so about making Black books also supported Black people if he saw talent in them and saw something special in them. Saying work that this person created on his own with his collective and them being FUBU again pisses me off to no end. Joseph Illich, another founding member of Milestone Media, being the first editor for the Batman side of things, and honestly was part of the reason why Batman was so amazing throughout his time there. Him being a part of that, crazy. Christopher Judge, again, to Ethan's point about how much he did for
a priest.
I said Christopher Judge, Jesus Christ. Christopher Priest for how much he did for Marvel. People, the niggas that are all for recasting T'Challa and all directly want to point to how much they love the Black Panther Marvel Knights run that Christopher Priest did. Again, another individual who's a part of Milestone Media. Rob himself talking about how the only Black story that he really resonated with being Blue Marvel, a character that he claims to, which I think to some extent is true, to make popular in media, was written by a nigga who took direct inspiration from Icon, another person that was created by Milestone Media. If you take Blue Marvel's origin story and Icon's origin story side by side, this shit is damn near identical. It's just one nigga started it during the civil rights era and other niggas started during slavery in regards to how they operate. Except one man was fucking retired and unretired by white men and the other did this shit because his community needed him. Again, this shit just pisses me off to no end. More so because when you're looking at the platform that he has, and how we understand that most of his platform are going to be white men and how a lot of these white men are going to live and die by what you say because you are their token representative. When you get on your massive platform in front of white men who aren't aware or don't read Black comics and let them know, hey, these stories that are very much so about diversity and are great stories and all other stories like them are just Black politics or FUBU, they're going to look at those things as being the same. So you're making it inherently harder for any other Black creator before or after to even be successful, because at the end of the day, we've talked about it before. I've talked about it before in different stuff I've had. We're outnumbered. We're a minority in this country, but we're for sure a minority in the nerd space. And these white men are going to be the massive people who dictate what things get promoted and what things get seen as valuable as far as assets and IP goes. If they're not spending their money on it just because they look at that as inferior because of the messaging that you put out there, the narrative that you spin, you're making shit difficult for everyone else. So again, if you don't know shit about it, which you said you didn't know shit about it, shut the fuck up. Don't in one breath say, I don't know anything about Milestone. If you pressed me for 2 minutes and I tried to lie about it, you sussed that I was bullshitting. And then in the next breath, you then talk about and give an all-encompassing narrative and depiction of what this thing is. It pisses me off. If you don't know about it, shut the fuck up. Simple as that. That's yeah.
I don't love like you're trying to paint FUBU as like a small venture. Like as a clothing designer, to be able to like have the level of distribution that they like attributed themselves to in the time that they were popular, and to have the run that they did, that's not a like. It's hard to get comic books across the nation, right? Like getting people to buy clothing brands in an era where like fashion was at its peak. But let's not discredit
they were in their prime. They were ahead of like Timberland and Tommy Hilfiger. I remember this back in the day, like, when I was in high school, right? Because they had like they had lots of prominent hip hop artists that were rocking their gear. So it was they were selling stuff really well. So again, like you said, Otis, to dismiss FUBU as being like the bottom of the barrel, that's disrespectful right there in of itself. Also, real quick, I want to say that it is bizarre how hard this cat, like you said, Dev, I'm sure gets all kinds of hit up by all kinds of messages, pro and cons all the time. For him to single out this one thing on this one random tweet is bizarre. And for him to get that defensive that he's made multiple videos addressing this controversy, again, why are you doing this, guy? You've been in the business for who knows how long. You know better. The number one lesson is pretty much just to keep your mouth shut. Just don't say anything. Like, why are you doing this? And being that defensive about something is pretty telling, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, hit dog Hollis. You got told that you weren't Black enough and you felt like you weren't Black enough for a while, which I can understand. You're a mixed man. You probably had that issue growing up. But because he even discussed that if I'm not black enough because I don't cover black stuff, fuck it, I'm not black enough then. And to an extent, I understand and feel for him in that regard of like you doing a physical thing to be black enough is, it's fucked up. But at the end of the day, all that people asked of you to do was uplift your people. That's all they asked. When you I should be worried about taking a hit. Like you getting a 9 out of 10 video on YouTube hurts your channel. It does. I will objectively say that. But that's something for smaller creators to worry about. People who don't have 2.5 fucking million subs, that have hardcore fans. If I can make a video on Icon and my video do extremely well at the level of channel I have, nigga, you dropping that same video at 2.5 million subs, that's not a 9 out of 10 for you. That video's going to do well. And you're introducing people. And that's another thing that pisses me off about it, is that you claim to be responsible for Blue Marvel being a popular or a known character in media now, which to an extent, I do think you're right. Because I don't think too many niggas were even talking about Adam Bashir until you made your video on it. Why not do that same thing for other creators, for other characters and other creators? If you understand you did that, why don't you do that for others? And I get it. You're not informed. Because for the most, I think when I follow Rob Song, I remember when his channel was just Marvel Comics Explained, where he only covered Marvel stuff. It wasn't until comic historian Benny, a white man, keep in mind, Benny covered more black characters and black center stories than Rob did. And this is a full-fledged white man. But he was a fan of comics as a whole. And he put Rob onto DC Comics. It wasn't until he put him onto DC stuff where he dropped the Marvel from his name and just became Comics Explained and started covering DC stuff as well. I understand he's more of a capitalist now in this fashion, how he performs, because you're worried about your bottom line and your dollars at the end of the day. But again, you've been around too long and have had too much success to worry about little shit like that. I'm sorry. You dropping the occasional black video on a character is not going to nuke your whole channel.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Do you think he believes that addressing or covering any kind of black-led stories or black creators will hurt his channel? I mean,
it will hurt his channel. It'll hurt his channel absolutely in an incremental amount, because he's put out other stuff about black characters before in the past, and his white fan base was racist towards that shit. Well, a lot of them were. Ernie, my guy Blerd Without Fear, put out a video kind of like showing receipts and and kind of giving out a lot of the experiences he's had around Rob and a lot of why he is kind of off Rob now. Rob does a live stream kind of rebutting to that. And in the comment section of that video, people were so racist throughout that entire thing, calling out Rob outside of his, not calling out Rob, calling out Ernie outside of his name in racial ways, and even getting into his wife. So bad to the point, Rob just took that stream off. He just dropped that stream. So if you understand how racist your fan base is and why people critique you for that fan base, to the point to where you have to take down the stream because the comments are so racist, my nigga, you know what it is. You know the problem, you're aware of the problem, but because this problem is making you money and supporting you, you're cool going along with it. And up until now, black folks just didn't know about a lot of your problematic ways. So niggas, you still had the black support, so you still felt like you were black enough. Now niggas are leaving you with the white people. It's just you're going to be that black dot in the white ocean, and it's just going to be you. Well, you and all the other self-hating black folks that go into default whiteness, because I do think that's another issue and another uphill battle that black creators face, is that you're trying to fight to get the white people to imprint on your stuff, as well as trying to fight a lot of the narratives that a lot of black people have in regards to looking at black-centered stories and black creative things as inferior in themselves. So again, as a black creator myself and speaking to black creators, it's already difficult to get people as a whole to love your thing. But it's even harder when there's an inherent bias that your thing, because of your skin color, is looked at as inferior. Even if you had the same people that wrote the most amazing things for these big two publishers that are owned by white people on your stuff, it's still seen as lesser than. Stephanie Williams can write Nubia and make Nubia a popular character for DC Comics, but when she's doing Roots of Madness, niggas act like it doesn't exist. Temporal, niggas act like it doesn't exist. And I bring this up more so to let people know that aren't aware. Comic book creatives and writers usually save their best stories and their best ideas for indie stuff. Because Marvel and DC, if you bring them a story, an idea that's amazing, they're going to tell you, yeah, we'll make it, but we're going to own it. Yeah. You don't get any ownership or equity in this. That's why they go other places, to an Image, to an Ignition Press, to a Boom Studio, to an AWA, to a Top Cow, because they can own their stories in part. So go just read indie, check out indie. Especially, this is not me telling you to just go out buy 1,000,000 black books, but curate your pull list to buy books that you understand are ones that you would like to continue to go on. And even then, also educate yourself on how comics works. I do think this is the thing that publishers don't do a good job of expressing, is that you going off to buy a random book off the shelf is not helping to make sure your book continues on. Marvel and DC does not. Marvel, DC, I mean, they don't look at off the shelf sales already accounted for. Those sales are looked at when your shop buys a initial supply. If you really want to influence your store to continue on, you have to pre-order books in your pull list, and you have to make sure you're getting them in before the final cutoff days, so that your store knows, oh, there's a big interest around this book. Let me pre-order an additional amount of this book. Marvel and DC or Image then says, oh, there's a lot of orders around this book. Maybe we'll make sure this book continues on to go. That's how that shit works. But Marvel and DC doesn't publicize that a lot. Even Image doesn't do a good job of doing that. They just put a lot of marketing around books that they feel like they want to keep going. If it's Spider-Man or Batman, they understand it's going to inherently sell by themselves, and then they'll market those books more. It is how it is. It is what it is. There's a reason when you go into an LCS, you're likely to see 15 different ongoing Batman titles versus 15 different stories that not even black ones, just like in general of other publishers. That's why that happens, because people understand that even the casual fan is going to walk into a shop, see Batman and Spider-Man, things that they can remember from their childhood, and just buy that shit off rip. It is what it is. Because a lot of these shops, and me talking to certain shop owners, they want to, like, they read the indie stuff and they love the indie stuff and they want to put more indie stuff in there, but they understand if that shit don't sell, they can't keep the lights on. And a lot of these comic shops are owned by mom and pop. They're smaller businesses and they can't afford to take L's on that stuff. So they have to put the stuff out there that sells. So all this goes back into, Rob, when you make narratives like that, you make it difficult for not just the comic book readers, not just the creators, but even for the shop owners in themselves when they want to promote things that are black centered. But you putting out this kind of narrative makes it exponentially harder, because your fucking masses that aren't familiar with this stuff are going to look at it and go based off of what you fucking say, because niggas don't want to read it. Niggas aren't. I say niggas, but yeah, know what I mean. Let me just stop. Fine. I've been dominating this. What are thoughts, comments, concerns about that?
Yeah, I mean, the films are parallel. Trying to classify all of, indie creators into a small box like that, is belittling. I don't understand why. Again, this was the hill that he chose to really die on there. Like, he could have just let this go, but he wanted to make this an emphasis during Black History Month of all times. So that was a interesting choice, but it's a beacon to say we know what side he's on. We know where his goals are, where his morals are. We know what type of person he is. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and also it is sad, just like you said too, it's Black History Month, but it's just sad to see. It's an age-old thing, especially when I was younger. I remember just how hard it was. It seemed more or less like how Black creators, not as far as on YouTube or the internet, but as a Black artist, essentially, how it was more cutthroat amongst Black artists than anywhere else. The idea of Black artists helping each other out was rare, and I like how it's become a bit more common for us trying to help each other out in some capacity. Even this right here. For those who don't know, the three of us, Dev, Otis, and me, we don't live in the same state. We live pretty far away. We come together. We're friends. We're colleagues, and we have a company together. All that type of stuff. So the idea of us working together to build each other up, that's a good thing. It's a good thing for us, especially as Black creatives, right? So for like y'all are saying, for Rob to more or less diminish all the work that we're trying to do is disheartening, especially now in February, but just in general. You would hope that we would want to work together. As Otis has said before, you will get further when you work with somebody else. So it's just, I like to hold that sentiment to heart as much as possible, and I really do not want to push any of us down ever in any way.
The timing is even worse, because, brother, in like 10 days, Milestone is about to try to fight for their life to make sure that they can get sales for the Dakota incident. And if that book does not sell, we're probably not going to see Milestone characters or anything Milestone related in DC for damn near 2 years, if that. because it does seem like DC's trying to actively bankrupt fucking Milestone to an extent so they can buy out a lot of their IP. Because for people that aren't aware, DC does not own Static. They do not own any other Milestone property to license them out. And I'm pretty sure they would love nothing more for that company to go under so they can then buy those characters out and those rights to those characters so then they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with them and not have to pay them for them. And they have done that to Milestone for years now. But yeah, there is that in itself. Moving on into different topics, into hopefully better news as far as things go. There was there's a funny thing I want to kind of get into and discuss in regards to inspiration, because we've talked about it in a lot of different aspects of like unlikely inspirations from like certain movies or shows that get inspiration from the most random places. I guess it's kind of like a sort of POI thing. And what really made me want to discuss this a lot more was the clip that I saw again around Ryan Coogler discussing a lot of the inspiration for Sinner stuff and how a lot of his inspiration for the look of Remick and some of the vampires was looking at the Puss in Boots film that came out recently. And the idea that this random animated movie was a partial inspiration for one of the biggest movies this century, damn near, I found very interesting. So it kind of wanted me to bring forth the idea of like, when you guys are looking to create or when you guys are looking at things, when do you make note of what your inspiration is? Is there you keep note of things, or you kind of just like think back randomly to maybe the most unlikely inspiration of everything? Like, where do you take your things from?
I mean, for me, it just depends on the project. The most recent thing that I'm working on, I mean, this was always a thing that I wanted to do. So I mean, Jet Set Radio was always like a big inspiration. It's always the things that like just leave a big impression on me. Things that I feel like I could add my own spin to make something unique, or that I had just like a natural connection to. You know, like it's a video games, you know, animated series, anime, obviously. Of course, other comics, those are usually my biggest influences, but it's usually what like the things that like I inherently go back to, that, you know, because I'm not a person that usually goes back to an older thing to like revisit it. Like even when it comes to like, you know, video games, like it could be like one of my favorite franchises of all time. If I am used to a higher standard of graphics or gameplay, I can't go back and enjoy it to the same level. So the things that do pull me back, make me go rewatch it, make me go repeat it, those are usually the things that draw inspiration from. Like, so, you know, it's the Jet Set Radios of the world, it's the Sonic 2s of the world, it's the Yu Yu Hakusho's of the world, it's, you know, Devil May Cry, even before they you know, turn into the most recent Netflix series, which is also fire, and I'm really excited for that third season coming in May.
The second season.
Second. Is there a third? Okay.
Second season. I was like third. I was like, Nick, when did they put the second one?
Am I that old? I missed that. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
I mean, I believe it got confirmed for a second and third season right off the back out of the success of the first one. But yeah, the second season is dropping in May, and we're getting the third game put into the second season. That's probably why I said the third, actually.
Hey, I'm down for more Evanescence, nigga. More Evanescence music. Give it to me, please.
I don't know if we're getting another Evanescence track, but yeah, but bottom line, like, you know, those old things that really resonated to me in my childhood, like even like, you know, things like Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. I found I enjoyed how they structured their stories, where like, you know, you get action, you get story building, and you get like joint growth. It's a simple format that I think works well in a lot of mediums. So, you know, taking that and involving upon it and you know, adding your own spin, I think that's a good place to draw inspiration from. It's what drew you into a thing, finding a way to like take that and enhance, you know, what you're trying to do next.
Professor.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler is a very interesting cat. There's a video of him talking about his teacher, talking with his teacher, how they're got an award show or Met Gala or something, right? And his teacher, you sent that video, Dev? Okay. But it's
yeah.
and it's like from way back in the day when he was in college. I think it was undergrad, right? And he wrote a paper, and she instantly read it. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna be you belong in Hollywood. This is too good for anything else. That's what you're destined to be." Essentially, what isn't really talked about that much in that video is how what he wrote about essentially in that paper in that class was a lot of the time he spent with his father. As far as like what Dev did, Dev watched a lot of old movies with his late grandfather. It's the same thing with Ryan Coogler. He watched a lot of old movies with his father as well. And those movies influenced him severely, or it had a major impact on him as far as how he told stories and how he wanted to present things in film. One of the biggest things, of course, is Rocky. That's an obvious example right there. And so it's very evident that that they said before, good artists borrow, great artists steal. I mean, he's a great artist, so it's going to happen. I'm nowhere near as great as him, of course. But I do the same thing. I'm always y'all read my scripts before. Y'all seen my comics before. I've seen Dev's comics. I've seen Otis's comics. We all steal from those influences we had before. I know in Reaper is very influenced by Bleach, by Supernatural. I even saw a little bit of what's that Kadeem Hardison movie with the Fifth Man, or whatever, with the ghost on the basketball court. They're all in there, and that's fine. That's good. That's what's supposed to happen. It's meant to be a pastiche of things that you love. That's how, of course, it brings new people into your art. For me personally, I think I've told both of y'all before how the two movies that influenced me the most as far as becoming a writer and getting involved with comics and film was Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, and The Shawshank Redemption. Still to this day, most of the time when I write stuff, as far as a narrator, I think of Morgan Freeman talking, how he would present the story, more or less. And also with Indiana Jones, it's very much, if you were destined to take on an impossible challenge, how would you do that with the character? Whether it be in a shonen, as far as you had to take on an impossible enemy or an impossible situation in life. But these things definitely, we draw from those that inspire us in some capacity. Even if it is a losing battle, that's okay. That's what makes us survivors. And I don't ever want that to go away. And I'm glad Ryan Coogler brought that up, as far as he was influenced from something that seemed very unassuming, a great movie, which is Puss in Boots, and he made a great movie because of that. So that's how it should be. You stand on the shoulders of those before you. Makes it even better.
I found with me, I like to take bits and pieces. Now, there are obviously some like bigger concepts, like I'm looking at like the show Lucifer or things like that in regards to like concepts or ideals of a character, as far as like a trope or a certain like archetype of a character I'll steal. But usually I look at the little things. Otis brought up Power Rangers earlier, right? A show that you would not on the surface level expect to have certain things in there in regards to like damn near horrific tones. I directly like go back to SPD and how they were depicting Donkey Kruger's entire race being murdered, essentially being annihilated through genocide, and like his whole story. In this seemingly like sweet, like every day like monster battle show, I just watched a full like 3-minute sequence of this character narrating his people's genocide and how he lost and how he failed. And I'm like, again, this piece of amazing writing and showmanship in this show that like you would never expect. And that's what I love about just different forms of media. It's always things that you wouldn't expect to have certain aspects in it. Usually I look at the horror aspect of things, where there's usually like horror or bits of it in different aspects in different shows. But I find that very interesting in how that's presented there. And how I can tie you. I always look to see like, okay, how can I take this and apply it to all different aspects of my own art and whatnot. But
well,
there's interesting.
Not to get into spoilers, but for your upcoming book, I won't give spoilers away. But your upcoming book was influenced by, we talked about this about Fight Club, as far as like how one of your characters is kind of the way, the aura he presents in a sense, and it may be in a seemingly unlikely way, but it's very much there. That's what it's always fun when something kind of clicks, as far as like, oh yeah, it reminds you of something kind of cool, or how a character can come across, or I know all of y'all know the anime or the manga Monster. The Johan, yeah. So it's your boy. Literally on pretty much every list, he's regarded the main character, the main bad guy. Johan is regarded as the single scariest antagonist, and this guy never doesn't really throw hands. Doesn't really like. It's just because he himself is so. His mind is so sharp, and he is so formidable from a distance, essentially. That it's genuinely scary. Being able to convey that type of emotion, it's influenced me several times how I want to present my characters too. So it's if you can find inspiration in the most unlikely of places, please do so.
Mm-hmm. That's about all I had for the show as a whole. This is a short one. I know we had like a little bit off. I'm coming off of illness and a very eventful Valentine's Day, so I'm like recovering. Did y'all have any other like concerns or things that you wanted to kind of commentate on really quickly before we get ready to close up out?
Yeah, not particularly. I do hope more people do still venture over to watching Wonder Man. We covered it a few weeks back. I do think that is one of the better projects that put up Marvel, well, the MCU in a while. I hope we continue to build off of projects like that. And yeah, support indie comics. I mean, literally, they can't exist without people purchasing them, talking about them. You know, if you don't speak on it, they'll die off. So
I think if we're doing like recommendations out, my friend JP Number put me on to Philadelphia, written by the prolific Rodney Barnes, who's somebody I was not familiar with until I started reading this. I'm in love with this. Like, so much to the point, I'm like 15 pages into the first issue. I'm probably looking to buy Omnibus somewhere. I look on eBay or somewhere to see if I can find an Omnibus for this, because I'm in love with the story. It has art that is very akin to like a lot of Alex Ross stuff from like Kingdom Come, but it's written in a very like dope horror style, and it's sick. It's sick. There's only 35 issues as of now, and I think issue 36 by Image is supposed to come out at some point soon, but it's fucking fire.
Is Philadelphia the vampire story where Thomas Jefferson was a vampire?
I'm in the first issue. I know vampires involved because I've seen cover art that looked like it had vampires on it, but I have no idea about anything else besides that. Just because I'm only 15. I'm only 15 pages into the first issue.
The artwork, you can't miss the artwork because it's all over the internet, but also it's very, very striking. It's very, very, you said it's like Alex Ross basically. It's like crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I want to check that one out too. I'm actually reading something as far as recommendations. It's an older book, I guess, not too old, but maybe 10 years ago. Something is Killing the Children. You read them before, okay?
James,
but that one is, that one's really good too. But as far as with I guess she's a protagonist. The one of the hunters, not getting too much into it. She's a very, very cool character. How she's presented as far as very much almost like Joel from Last of Us. As far as this person is not friendly, but they really shouldn't be in this world. So it's a very cool book. But again, it's one of those things where once you get into indie comics, having different types of characters, they don't have to be a full blown hero or a supernatural, super good type of. No, they can be a lawful good or have you. They can be very, very dark type of characters, and I enjoy that a lot. So I definitely strongly recommend that one if you get a chance, as far as an indie book to support.
Yeah. But yeah. Matter of fact, I may have a trade for that. I think my boy, for one of my birthdays in the past, got me a trade for that, but it's somewhere in my fucking stack of boxes. I need to read that. I've been meaning to get to it. That and the Department of Truth is what it is. I get into that as well. But yeah, y'all, this has been another episode of the Then and Now podcast. Again, if you made it this far,
wait. You have to tell the folks about your what you did last night, Dev, as far as your dancing.
No, hell no. Cannot talk about that. I do not need no parasocial relationships on this channel. Hell no. Y'all are not. You will not see about that. If you hear about personal things regarding that, it'll be about me getting married or a child. Anything in between, you will not hear about. That is for me and that individual only.
Fair.
But yeah, unless you want to talk about your Valentine's Day.
Nah, mine was the loneliest.
I'll talk about mine. Me and Felicia had a Ghibli versus Tolkien night. We just went back and forth watching the Ghibli movie and then watching, first the Hobbits, and then we got a Lord of the Rings movie.
Y'all were doing that shit all day then.
That's literally all day. You said Hobbit. So which Ghibli movies? You said the Hobbit. Which one's your Ghibli movies you watched?
So we did
Howling Castle,
Nausicaa. We did
Ponyo.
The word
Mononoke?
The winds meet. It's the wind, something with the wind. I don't know.
The win.
I've only seen
Oh,
a
they're
handful
right-
of legitimate
Tales of
movies.
Earthsea. Those were the 3 that we did, and then we got through the first Hobbit. We got through Battle of the Five Armies. We kind of did like a portion of Desolation of Smaug, but those are just really long movies.
That's a lot of movie.
It's,
Yeah, it's not short. It's not short.
I know y'all niggas were high the entire time.
I'm sure. That's a lot of medicating. That's a lot of medicating.
Oh shit.
but, it was a good time. So
Yeah, it sounds romantic, man.
man.
That's chill. That sounds really romantic, man. Right on.
But sure, man. This has been another episode of the Video Now Podcast, y'all. If you made it this far into the video, it means that you liked it. So do us a favor and like the video. And subscribe to the channel to be kept up with more things that we have going on in regards to all the different shows or things that we're a part of, from the Players Alliance to my own personal channel to Echelon Graphic Novels. These are all things that we love to promote here on the Video Now Podcast. If you guys have any potential topics you want us to discuss, let us know in the comment section below, or any of our other social media platforms that you will find on the internet as a whole. This has been Captain Diesel, the Lelouch V, and Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy, and this has been another episode of Video Now Podcast.
You're listening to the Then and Now podcast.
So Jujutsu Kaisen, Frieren, and Hell's Paradise are like the holy trinity of anime right now. They are just hitting consistently.
Yeah. JJK, we can't. We can't.